I think I'll start out and just talk a little bit about what exactly autism is. Autism is a very big continuum that goes from very severe, the child remains nonverbal, all the way up to brilliant scientists and engineers. And I actually feel at home here because there's a lot of autism genetics here. You wouldn't have any... It's a continuum of traits. When does a nerd turn into, Asperger, which is just mild autism? I mean, Einstein and Mozart and Tesla would all be probably diagnosed as autistic spectrum today. And one of the things that really is going to concern me is getting these kids to be the ones that are going to invent the next energy things, that Bill Gates talked about this morning. Okay, now if you want to understand autism animals, and I want to talk to you about different ways of thinking, you have to get away from verbal language.
这句话是很重要的。各位如果是一个想要从事做设计的人，或者是社会系，你想要观察社会，你要替社会找到一些问题的解决方案，最重要的是刚刚那句话：离开语言的思考。你想要跟人家用沟通的时候，用嘴巴去讲，你相信他讲的话就是那句话的意思，那问题就大了。我养过很多小狗，最多的时候9只，现在我家里有3只。跟狗沟通，你没有办法靠讲话，不可以这样，它完全不理解。你必须怎么跟狗沟通？你必须从它的动作里面去了解它的行为是什么意思。所以他在这里面想以图片为思考，我不以语言为思考。这个是最重要的，就是图片的意思，就是说我看到东西，我了解这是什么意思，而不是说我听他说是这个意思，所以我就依着这个意思去做那件事情。因为多数的人在说一件事情的时候，他的准确度非常非常的低，甚至他告诉你说我喜欢这个的时候，他的意思不是你听到的那个我喜欢这个，他很可能听到的是说我喜欢这个，但是是那个。的这个概念是一个非常复杂的语义学的问题，所以用图片思考，也就是用观察性的思考，不是用语言的思考，是真正的做设计的关键。
Think in pictures. I don't think in language. Now, the thing about the autistic mind is it attends to details. Okay, this is a test where you either have to pick out the big letters or pick out the little letters, and the autistic mind picks out the little letters more quickly. And the thing is, the normal brain ignores the details. Well, if you're building a bridge, details are pretty important because it'll fall down if you ignore the details. And one of my big concerns with a lot of policy things today is things are getting too abstract. People are getting away from doing hands-on stuff. I'm really concerned that a lot of the schools have taken out the hands-on classes because art and classes like that, those were the classes where I excelled. Okay, in my work with
他刚刚谈到2个，一个是教育，一个是政治。他觉得现在的政治的这个领域里面，太多都是思考上面的层次，真正落实怎么去解决的时候，不能解决。为什么？因为全部都是左边的脑袋，全部都是语言的脑袋，所以都是用讲的去解决问题的时候，等到叫你真正做的时候，你碰到到处都是解决不了的问题。那个是他刚刚在说的政治。在教育上面，他觉得现在有太多的学校，为了要让课程教得更多，所以让学生真正动手去把一个事情做起来的机会，尤其我在看我们现在的国中的小孩、高中的小孩，他们能够真正动手的机会，哪里有什么太多？没有，几乎没有，都是在听人家讲。那听人家讲的这个概念，基本上是不太对的，因为你基本上不太容易真正的把事情想通。所以这里面他开始讲的一个东西，我非常有兴趣。他开始研究牛，因为牛你就算是他跟你讲话，你也听不懂，叫来叫去。所以你唯一能够做的事情是观察它。
In my work with cattle, I noticed a lot of little things that most people don't notice would make the cattle balk. Like, for example, this flag waving right in front of the veterinary facility. This feed yard was going to tear down their whole veterinary facility. All they needed to do was move the flag. rapid movement, contrast. In the early 70s, when I started, I got right down in the chutes to see what cattle were seeing. People thought that was crazy. A coat on a fence would make them balk, shadows would make them balk, a hose on the floor. People weren't noticing these things, a chain hanging down, and that's shown very, very nicely in the movie. In fact, I loved the movie how they duplicated all my projects. That's the geek side. My drawings got the star in the movie, too. And actually, it's called Temple Grandin, not Thinking in Pictures. So what is Thinking in Pictures? It's literally movies in your head. My mind works like Google for images. Now, when I was a young kid, I didn't know my thinking was different. I thought everybody thought in pictures. And then when I did my book, Thinking in Pictures, I started interviewing people about how they think. And I was shocked to find out that my thinking was quite different. Like if I say, think about a church steeple, most people get this sort of generalized, generic one. Now, maybe that's not true in this room, but it's going to be true in a whole lot of different places. I see only specific pictures. They flash up into my memory just like Google for pictures. And in the movie, they've got a great scene in there where the word shoe is said and a whole bunch of 50s and 60s shoes pop into my imagination. Okay, there's my childhood church, that's specific. There's some more, Fort Collins. Okay, how about famous ones? And they just kind of come up kind of like this, just really quickly, like Google for pictures. And they come up one at a time, and then I can think, well, okay, well, maybe we can have it snow, or we can have a thunderstorm. I can hold it there and turn them into videos. Now, visual thinking was a tremendous asset in my work designing cattle handling facilities. And I've worked really hard on improving how cattle are treated at the slaughter plant. I'm not going to go into any gucky slaughter slides. I've got that stuff up on YouTube if you want to look at it. But one of the things that I was able to do in my design work is I could actually test run a piece of equipment in my mind, just like a virtual reality computer system. And this is an aerial view of a recreation of one of my projects that was used in the movie. That was like just so super cool. And there were a lot of kind of Asperger types and autism types working out there on the movie set, too. But one of the things that really worries me is where's the younger version of those kids going today? They're not ending up in Silicon Valley where they belong. Now, one of the things I learned very early on, because I wasn't that social, is I had to sell my work and not myself. And the way I sold livestock jobs is I showed off my drawings, I showed off pictures of things. Another thing that helped me as a little kid is, boy, in the 50s, you were taught manners. You were taught you can't pull the merchandise off the shelves in the store and throw it around. Now, when kids get to be in 3rd or 4th grade, you might see that this kid's going to be a visual thinker, drawing in perspective. Now, I want to emphasize that not every autistic kid's going to be a visual thinker. Now, I had this brain scan done several years ago, and I used to joke around about having a gigantic internet trunk line going deep into my visual cortex. This is tensor imaging. And my great big internet trunk line is twice as big as the controls. The red lines there are me, and the blue lines are the sex and age-matched control. And there I got a gigantic one, and the control over there, the blue one, has got a really small one. And some of the research now is showing that people on the spectrum actually think with primary visual cortex. Now, the thing is, the visual thinker is just one kind of mind. You see, the autistic mind tends to be a specialist mind, good at one thing, bad at something else. And where I was bad was algebra. And I was never allowed to take geometry or trig. Gigantic mistake. I'm finding a lot of kids that need to skip algebra, go right to geometry and trig. Now, another kind of mind is the pattern thinker, more abstract. These are your engineers, your computer programmers. Now, this is pattern thinking. That praying mantis is made from a single sheet of paper. No Scotch tape, no cuts, and there in the background is the pattern for folding it. Here are the types of thinking. Photorealistic visual thinkers like me. Pattern thinkers, music and math minds. Some of these oftentimes have problems with reading. You also will see these kind of problems with kids that are dyslexic. You'll see these different kinds of minds. And then there's a verbal mind. They know every fact about everything.
刚刚的这3个，大家最好把它记着。第一种是靠图像思考的人， 因为你必须要了解对方是什么样的人，你在跟他沟通的时候，你才不会弄错。简单的说，我们用一个比较粗浅的一个比喻，比如说对方是一个讲法文的人，你不能把它当成是一个讲中文，所以它其中有几个法国字听起来像中文，你就以为它是那个中文的意思，不是，它讲的是法文听起来像中文的那2个字，当然不是那个中文的意思。所以换句话说，如果对方是第一种人，他叫做用图像去思考的人的时候，那么那样子的人，如果你请他做，像他讲说他做代数，他一定是很辛苦的。为什么做代数很辛苦？因为做代数是一种抽象式思考的人，他是一个 pattern thinker， 就是他是用模式去解决问题的。那跟他用图像一张一张来解决问题，一个是图像强，一个是那个抽象的思考强。如果你觉得说他的代数这么差，他一定很笨，那你就错了，因为他的脑的能力就像是一个左撇子右撇子。我如果都会用左手，像我自己，我右手不会拿剪刀，我只会左手拿剪刀。如果你看我右手拿剪刀这样笨手笨脚的样子，你说那他很笨，那你就应该看看我左手拿剪刀可以剪成什么样子。所以那个部分是我们一定要去了解，尤其是做设计的人，需要做设计思考的人，或者需要去用思考的方式去理解别人的人，都一定要知道对方是什么样的人。第一种，用图像思考的人；第二种，用 pattern 去思考的人。pattern 就是音乐，它有一种旋律，噔噔噔噔噔噔这样，那他把这个跟这个跟这个把它组合在一起，这种就是用音乐思考的人。音乐还有一种特别的东西，它就是有时间的韵律。能够做图像、能够做建筑的人，不见得能够做出好的音乐。为什么？因为音乐牵涉到时间的变化，所以这些时间的变化的 pattern 紧、快、松、慢这些东西，或者是数学，它怎么样子去做这种抽象的思考，去解决一个这样的问题，它很可能非常会，就像他刚刚说的，它非常容易解决这个几何的问题。可是同样的一个几何问题解得出来的东西，你叫他用代数解决，他就解决不了。什么道理？因为他的脑筋是解决图像，所以他解决几何很容易，解决代数就不容易。那第三种就是 verbal mind， 就是可以用文字表达，可是他不一定画得出来。就是他可以把一个空间用文字表达的非常，就像小说一样非常好。跟你说你画出来吧，他一点都不会。可是真正会画的人呢，用图像思考的人，他一下子就把那个地方的很多的特点跟重心，他都把它讲得很清楚。所以三种图像思考、这个 pattern 的思考跟用语言思考，这是三种基本的不同的东西。它在你的这个大脑的这个使用的范围不太一样就是一个不太一样的地方。
And then there's a verbal mind. They know every fact about everything. Now, another thing is the sensory issues. I was really concerned about having to wear this gadget on my face. And I came in half an hour beforehand so I could have it put on and kind of get used to it. And they got it bent so it's not hitting my chin. But sensory is an issue. Some kids are bothered by fluorescent lights. Others have problems with sound sensitivity. It's going to be variable. Now, visual thinking gave me a whole lot of insight into the animal mind. Because think about it, an animal's a sensory-based thinker, not verbal. Thinks in pictures, thinks in sounds, thinks in smell.
各位如果养过动物，你就可以知道，动物不是跟你用语言来沟通的。比如说，你跟他说坐下，他不是在听坐下，他在听的是你的声音 sound。坐下，跟坐下是不一样的。所以那个他是用声音，他听到的是声音的表达的情绪，他用图像，你的表情的样子，你的动作的样子，这些是图像。所以图像、声音跟味觉来，动物为什么那么喜欢去咬你的拖鞋？你觉得很奇怪，干嘛动物都咬拖鞋？因为拖鞋最多味道，它的那个味道是它觉得里面丰富的不得了。那所以那个部分呢，就是一个味觉思考的这个概念。所以动物在思考的时候，不是语言、图像、声音、味觉。
Think about how much information there is there on the local fire hydrant. He knows who's been there, when they were there? Are they friend or foe? Is there anybody you can go mate with? There's a ton of information on that fire hydrant. It's all very detailed information. And looking at these kind of details gave me a lot of insight into animals. Now, the animal mind, and also my mind, puts sensory-based information into categories. Man on a horse and a man on the ground, that is viewed as two totally different things.
这句话也是重要的。通常我们看说，哦，这是某甲，然后我们就会分出某甲、某乙，然后某甲、某乙，某甲戴着帽子的时候，我们就说某甲戴着帽子，然后某甲穿着鞋子的时候，我们说某甲穿着鞋子。可是动物它是把戴着帽子的人当成是一种人，因为他是戴着帽子的样子，所以戴着帽子的人是一种人。当然，他还有其他的味道等等。如果他很远看，他闻不到味道，他只看得到戴帽子的人跟没有戴帽子的人。他如果他脑袋里面认为戴帽子的人曾经打过我，所以戴帽子的人叫做坏人的时候，不管那个人是他的什么人，他都把他当成叫做戴帽子的人。所以这个就是他刚刚要说的概念。
You can have a horse that's been abused by a rider. They'll be absolutely fine with the veterinarian and with the horseshoer, but you can't ride him. You have another horse where maybe the horseshoer beat him up, and he'll be terrible for anything on the ground with the veterinarian, but a person can ride him. Cattle are the same way. Man on a horse, a man on foot, they're two different things. You see, it's a different picture. So I want you to think about just how specific this is. Now, this ability to put information into categories, I find a lot of people are not very good at this. Like when I'm out troubleshooting with equipment or problems with something in a plant, they don't seem to be able to figure out, do I have a training people issue or do I have something wrong with the equipment? In other words, categorize equipment problem from a people problem. I find a lot of people have difficulty doing that. Now, let's say I figure out, is an equipment problem, is it a minor problem with something simple I can fix, or is the whole design of the system wrong? People have a hard time figuring that out. Let's just look at something like, solving problems with, making airlines safer. Yeah, I'm a million-mile flyer. I do lots and lots of flying. And, like if I was at the FFA, what would I be doing a lot of direct observation of? It would be their airplane tails. 5 fatal wrecks in the last 20 years. Tail either came off or steering stuff inside the tail broke in some way. It's tails, pure and simple. And when the pilots walk around the plane, guess what? They can't see that stuff inside the tail. Now as I think about that, I'm pulling up all of that, specific information. It's specific. See, my thinking's bottom up. I take all the little pieces and I put the pieces together like a puzzle. Now here's a horse that was deathly afraid of black cowboy hats. He'd been abused by somebody with a black cowboy hat. White cowboy hats, that was absolutely fine. Now the thing is, the world is going to need all of the different kinds of minds to work together. We've got to work on developing all these different kinds of minds. And one of the things that's driving me really crazy as I travel around and I do autism meetings is I'm seeing a lot of smart, geeky, nerdy kids. And they just aren't very social. And nobody's working on developing their interest in something like science. And this brings up the whole thing of my science teacher. My science teacher is shown absolutely beautifully in the movie. I was a goofball student when I was in high school. I just didn't care at all about studying until I had Mr. Carlock's science class. He was now Dr. Carlock in the movie. And he got me challenged to figure out an optical illusion room. This brings up the whole thing of you got to show kids interesting stuff. One of the things that I think maybe TED ought to do is tell all the schools about all the great lectures that are on TED. And there's all kinds of great stuff on the internet to get these kids turned on. Because I'm seeing a lot of these geeky, nerdy kids, and the teachers out in the Midwest and other parts of the country, when you get away from these tech areas, they don't know what to do with these kids. And they're not going down the right path. The thing is, you can make a mind to be more of a thinking and
他刚刚有一段话，各位也可以知道，意思就是说，像他举的是美国的例子。美国在比较乡下的地方的时候，如果你是一个比较特别的学生，老师通常就不知道怎么处理你了，因为老师能够处理的是一个比较标准化的学生，所以这些问题都是让教育变成是一个比较难做的事情。
Cognitive mind or a mind can be wired to be more social. And what some of the research now has shown in autism is there may be extra wiring back here in the really brilliant mind, and we lose a few social circuits here. It's kind of a trade-off between thinking and social. And then you can get into the point where it's so severe, you're going to have a person that's going to be nonverbal. In the normal human mind, language covers up the visual thinking we share with animals. This is the work of Dr. Bruce Miller, and he studied Alzheimer's patients that had frontal temporal lobe dementia. And the dementia ate out the language parts of the brain, and then this artwork came out of somebody that used to install stereos in cars. Now, Van Gogh doesn't know anything about physics, but I think it's very interesting that there was some work done to show that this eddy pattern in this painting followed a statistical model of turbulence. This brings up the whole interesting idea of maybe some of this mathematical patterns is in our own head. And the Wolfram stuff, I was taking notes and I was writing down all the search words I could use, because I think that's going to go on in my autism lectures. We've got to show these kids interesting stuff. And they've taken out the auto shop class and the drafting class and the art class. I mean, art was my best subject in school. We've got to think about all these different kinds of minds, and we've got to absolutely work with these kind of minds, because we absolutely are going to need these kind of people in the future. And let's talk about jobs. Okay, my science teacher got me studying because I was a goofball that didn't want to study. But you know what? I was getting work experience. I'm seeing too many of these smart kids that haven't learned basic things like how to be on time. I was taught that when I was 8 years old. You know, how to have table manners at Granny's Sunday party. I was taught that when I was very, very young. And when I was 13, I had a job at a dressmaker's shop selling clothes. I did internships in college. I was building things. And I also had to learn how to do assignments. You know, all I wanted to do was draw pictures of horses when I was little. Mother said, well, let's do a picture of something else. They've got to learn how to do something else. Let's say the kid's fixated on Legos. Let's get them working on building different things. The thing about the autistic mind is it tends to be fixated. Like if the kid loves race cars, let's use race cars for math. Let's figure out how long it takes a race car to go a certain distance. In other words, use that fixation in order to motivate that kid. That's one of the things we need to do. And really get fed up when the teachers, especially when you get away from this part of the country, they don't know what to do with these smart kids. It just drives me crazy. What can visual thinkers do when they grow up? They can do graphic design, all kinds of stuff with computers, photography, industrial design. The pattern thinkers, they're the ones that are going to be your mathematicians, your software engineers, your computer programmers, all of those kinds of jobs. And then you've got the word minds. They make great journalists, and they also make really, really good stage actors. Because the thing about being autistic is I had to learn social skills like being in a play. You just have to learn it. And we need to be working with these students, and this brings up mentors. You know, my science teacher was not an accredited teacher. He was a NASA space scientist. Now, some states now are getting it to where if you have a degree in biology or a degree in chemistry, you can come into the school and teach, biology or chemistry. We need to be doing that. Because what I'm observing is the good teachers for a lot of these kids are out in the community colleges. But we need to be getting some of these good teachers into the high schools. Another thing that can be very, very, very successful is there's a lot of people that may have retired from, working in the software industry. And they can teach a kid, and it doesn't matter if what they teach them is old. Because what you're doing is you're lighting the spark. You're getting that kid turned on. And you get them turned on, then you'll learn all the new stuff. Mentors are just essential. I cannot emphasize enough what my science teacher did for me. And we've got to mentor them, hire them. And if you bring them in for internships in your companies, the thing about the autism, Asperger kind of mind, you got to give them a specific task. Don't just say design new software. You got to tell them something a lot more specific. Well, we're designing software for a phone, and it has to do some specific thing, and it can only use so much memory. That's the kind of specificity you need. Well, that's the end of my talk, and I just want to thank everybody for coming. It was great to be here.
Okay.
Oh, you have a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. You know, you once wrote, I like this quote, "If by some magic autism had been eradicated from the face of the earth, then men would still be socializing in front of a wood fire at the entrance to a cave."
Because who do you think made the first stone spear? It was the Asperger guy, and if you were to get rid of all the autism genetics, there'd be no more Silicon Valley, and the energy crisis would not be solved.
So I want to ask you a couple other questions, and you know, if any of these feel inappropriate, it's okay just to say next question. But if there's someone here who has an autistic child or knows an autistic child and feels kind of cut off from them, what advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, we got to look at age. If you have a 2-, 3-, or 4-year-old, you know, no speech, no social interaction, I can't emphasize enough, don't wait. You need at least 20 hours a week of one-to-one teaching. You know, the thing is, autism comes in different degrees. There's going to be about half the people on the spectrum that are not going to learn to talk, and they're not going to be working in Silicon Valley. That would not be a reasonable thing for them to do. But then you got these smart, geeky kids, you know, the touch of autism, and that's where you've got to get them turned on with doing interesting things. I got social interaction through shared interests. I rode horses with other kids. I made model rockets with other kids. Did electronics lab, you know, with other kids. And in the 60s, it was gluing mirrors onto a rubber membrane on speaker to make a light show. That was like, we consider that super cool.
Is it unrealistic for them to hope or think that that child loves them, as some might most wish?
Well, let me tell you, that child will be loyal, and if your house is burning down, they're going to get you out of it.
Wow. So most people, if you ask them what are they most passionate about, they'd say things like, my kids, or my lover, or what are you most passionate about?
I'm passionate about that the things I do are going to make the world a better place. When I have a mother of an autistic child say, my kid went to college because of your book or one of your lectures, that makes me happy. You know, the slaughter plants, I've worked with them in the 80s. They were absolutely awful. I developed a really simple scoring system for slaughter plants where you just measure outcomes. How many cattle fell down, how many cattle got poked with the prodder, how many cattle are mooing their heads off. And it's very, very simple. You directly observe a few simple things. It's worked really well. I get satisfaction out of seeing stuff that makes real change in the real world. We need a lot more of that and a lot less abstract stuff.
When we were talking on the phone, one of the things you said that really astonished me was, you said one thing you were passionate about was server farms. Tell me about that.
Well, the reason why I got really excited and I read about that, it contains knowledge. It's libraries. And to me, knowledge is something that is extremely valuable. So maybe over 10 years ago now, our library got flooded, and this is before the internet got really big, and I was really upset about all the books being wrecked because it was knowledge being destroyed. And server farms or data centers are great libraries of knowledge.
Temple, can I just say it's an absolute delight to have you at TED.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
有同学问我说，是不是我们的课程，在哪里可以看得到这个课程的这些投影片的内容？我想我在这一学期忘了告诉大家，其实我们的课程都放在网络上面。那如果你要在网络上面看，其实最简单的方法就是在这个网络上面搜寻4个字“大小创意”。那搜寻“大小创意”以后，它的课程就在在里头。那么当然你也可以在 Google 在YouTube 上面搜寻这个我的名字，应该也看得到课程，所以两者大概都可以，看看怎么样做对你方便。刚刚我们的上面的最后一段谈到自闭，其实只是一种思考模式的不同。思考模式的不同，所以它变成无法沟通。我稍微再花30秒跟各位解释一下，为什么思考模式不同，它会无法沟通。意思是说，如果你讲的是某一种语言 A， 另外一个人呢 他不懂那个语言 A， 那他当然没有办法跟你沟通。但是他不懂语言 A， 不代表不懂语言 B， 所以我们在纯粹语言上面，我们可以弄清楚说啊，我不懂英文，他懂英文，所以我们无法沟通，我们就要去找另外一种大家都懂的语言去沟通。那实在是没有办法沟通的时候，我们就用比手画脚，因为比手画脚大概大家都可以理解。所以在这种方式上面，大家比较懂，就是语言不通的时候，我会同意你不了解我的语言，我不了解你的语言，这是可以接受。可是自闭的这些像刚刚他举的例子，只是他习惯用视觉沟通，另外一个人习惯用语言沟通，所以一个视觉沟通的人，他没有办法跟你聊天，所以他在跟你 social 的时候，他不能一直看着你，他不能这样子做啊，所以他只能就关起来，所以他关起来不跟你沟通的时候，就会变成好像他不沟通，其实不是，他其实是一个用视觉沟通的人。以刚刚的这个例子来说，所以我还是要请大家多观察，去真正的知道实际的状况是什么问题啊。人文的第三个省思是这个吃养殖肉是错的，那这是什么意思？在讲这个题目的时候，我曾经思考了一下，说我到底要不要把这个现在在全球的人文的这个反思中间很重要的一个 factor， 要不要跟大家说？我怕大家说了以后以为我是在鼓励大家吃素，其实不是。虽然我是一个吃素的人，但是吃养殖肉是错的这一点，纯粹是从这个整个20世纪它的这个肉类的提供，变成大量的用养殖的方式，破坏了很大的环境。所以我们来看看这个人，这个人大家大概不认识，那我把他的名字，他是一个印度人，所以我把他的名字写在这儿。那他是 Chairman of 这个 Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change， 就是如果各位在网络上看，应该常常看到这个机构提供的资讯 ，IPCC。用中文来讲，他就是联合国的跨政府气候变迁专门委员会的主席。他以这个身份，他说，改变饮食习惯，少吃肉，自己健康，地球也健康。他的概念是说，我们从20世纪的时候发展的结果，因为肉类的取得太便宜，所以让大家吃很多的肉，吃很多的肉其实对自己是很不健康的。这是他的第一个看法。那第二个看法，为什么地球也不健康呢？因为为了要提供很便宜的肉，所以大量的去这个养殖，不管是养殖牛啊、养殖鸡啊、养殖其他的东西，那这样子的养殖的方式，它所造成的碳排放量非常的大，所以他觉得有人常常去问他，因为他是气候变迁的专家，所以很多人去问他说，气候变迁我们自己怎么做起？他说他的答案都是只有一个，他就是告诉你说，你改变你的饮食习惯，少吃肉，因为你少吃肉，大家就不会去养那么多，不养那么多，你少吃自己健康，不养那么多地球健康，这是他的看法。我觉得这个看法会对于世界产生非常非常大的改变。为什么我会这样说？因为你要吃1磅的牛肉，你可能要用掉几吨的水。我们大概很少有人去了解这个资料，所以当水越来越缺乏的时候，它就越来越不容易。所以我们怎么样子在设计的方法上面去解决这个问题，是我今天想要跟大家谈的一个题目。那么他是谁呢？2007年诺贝尔和平奖，我们大概都记得高尔，可是我们大部分都忘了 IPCC 也得了一个诺贝尔和平奖，他们是共同得到诺贝尔和平奖，所以这是他们去这个领奖的时候的合照。那他代表 IPCC 是 IPCC 的主席，所以他去领奖。那么通常在台湾都比较热衷于政治人物跟演 演艺圈的人，对于其他领域的人大概都不怎么重视，所以大家也都不太会去重视到他。其实他很多的理论跟发言是很重要的。我跟各位讲，他的理论跟发言有什么重要？美国的一本重量级的杂志叫做《Foreign Policy》，就是外交杂志。他选他做这个《Foreign Policy》杂志的全球100名全球性的思想家中间的一位。他选他的原因、理由在这里。For ending the debate over whether climate change matters。在他之前，在他当 IPCC 的主席之前，全世界的人辩论来辩论去，老是觉得是说这个 climate change 气候变迁到底重不重要？他因为带领 IPCC 整个的努力，让 IPCC 不断的跟大家沟通，所以呢，他把大家辩论到底气候变迁是不是真的那么严重的问题，在他的这个他现在还在任期之内，在他的任期之内就把这件事情停止辩论了。意思是说，他讲得太清楚了，已经不需要辩论了，所以他把他们选他作为全球性的思想家之中的一位。所以，我们就来看看他怎么说这件事情。有一个很短很短的影片，是他接受访问的影片，我把它放出来，我没有翻译，不过我想大家都应该听得懂。我们就来看看，在 YouTube 上面就看得到。
I realized very soon after I started looking into climate change that this is obviously going to be the most difficult challenge that the human race is going to face. And there is no part of the world that is going to be insulated from crises in other parts of the world.
他的第一段是讲说，气候变迁是人类现在面临最重要的挑战。那全世界没有一个地方躲得掉，因为地球只有一个。
If we don't do something about this, then you're going to get a lot of failed states. And how many Somalias, how many Afghanistan, how many Sudan is the world going to be able to live with?
如果我们都不理他的话，我们即将面临很多的索马利亚、很多的苏丹。很多的奈及利亚这样子的一个国家的这种困境都会发生在各地。
So you know, if the developed world feels, oh, we are fine, we are prosperous, we can take care of ourselves, I think they're making a very big mistake. And I think
如果一个已经开发的国家说，哦，我们没有什么问题，我们的树很多，我们的环保能源都做得很好，所以我们没有问题。他说他们犯了一个非常大的错误。
Therefore, we need changes in lifestyles everywhere. I keep telling everybody when they ask me what changes in lifestyles.
所以我常常告诉大家说，如果你们真的想要改变这个全球的气候变迁，你最重要的就是把你的生活形态改变。我不断的在告诉大家说要去改变，大家都问我说怎么样改变。
I tell them start with your diet.
我告诉他们改变你的饮食习惯。
Start eating less meat.
少吃一点肉。
Because the meat cycle is extremely intensive in the emissions of greenhouse gases.
因为养殖这个肉生产的过程中间，非常非常大的这个排放了这个不好的气体。
And I tell them, you will be healthier, the planet will be healthier.
你会更健康，地球更健康。
There is no more powerful way of bringing about change than looking at what we are eating. And I think people are shaped by what they eat.
没有一种更有力的方法可以改变世界，就是我们每一个人都改变我们的饮食习惯。
So I think we become conscious about the fact that what we are imbibing, what we are eating, is really having a major impact on the environment of this planet. Then we start doing other things also.
如果我们大家都能够了解，改变我们的饮食习惯，就可以改变这个地球很大的一步。那到那个时候，我们再来想下一步。
But we need significant changes in lifestyle. I'm not saying that we have to start living in caves. I'm not saying that we have to climb up trees and live on trees.
当我在告诉大家说我们要来这个改变生活形态的时候，我没有说我们要住在山洞里面，我没有说我们要住在树上。
We can still pursue the same comforts. We can still enjoy all the good things in life.
你还是可以享受生活美好的事物。
But we have to stop wasting. We have to make sure that in everything we do, we treat Mother Nature as paramount, as sacred, and something that we cannot ignore.
但是我们不能够再浪费，我们在做任何事情的时候，都要把自然当成是一个很神圣的东西来尊重。这个是